Hello, and welcome to part 2 of my Bucky O'Hare one-credit playthrough. I'm Carlos, and I'm going to be talking during this whole thing yet again, so if you're annoyed by that, or perhaps are submitting this to Rhett's Prayer or something, I'm pretty sure that's how it's pronounced, by all means go ahead and be angry. This is the Green Planet. It was pretty much designed to be the first level of the game, and it shows. It's very easy. Normally, first time playing the game, you'll probably come here first and just have Bucky. I come here with Willy and Deadeye. I would come here last, because Blinky sucks. But I need a Blinky to get through the ice planet. Blinky has this cannon that can destroy certain kinds of blocks, and for some reason, the game doesn't stop you from going to the blue planet if you don't save Blinky first. So you can go there and totally be stuck and have to repeatedly kill yourself until you're thrown out of the level. So, since this is very easy, there's not much for me to say about this little segment. I'm going to talk about something I touched on in the last little walkthrough, and that's how much the Wii sucks. And this kind of ties into awesome old Nintendo games like this that I enjoy playing quite a bit of. Now, I'm not one of those pretentious assholes who likes to say that modern gaming sucks and that the Nintendo was where it's at and nothing can ever be as good as it. While I'm a big fan of Mega Man games and a big fan of this particular Mega Man knockoff Bucky O'Hare, I'm also a fan of games like Gears of War 3, and despite what Movie Bob might say about the color brown, that game was kind of designed to be brown and gray. And it also plays very well. It puts you into situations and it asks you to use your ingenuity and the resources at hand to conquer it. And it very rarely puts you into an unfair situation that you had no chance with. Usually, when you die in Gears of War 1 through 3, it's your fault. In that way, I liken it to Mega Man games. Like, genre-wise, it's not quite the same at all, but when it comes to having to figure out, puzzle out the solution to a problem, a lot of the same things apply here, and this waterfall has random power-ups thrown about. They're not random, but I don't memorize their placement, so fuck it, I just randomly shoot with Deadeye. Anywho, this ties into my big issue with the Wii. Nintendo used to be in their own games and in their third-party developers a company where games were known as Nintendo Hard, but they weren't really, in most cases, hard. Yeah, there were the Battletoads games. I died there. Jesus Christ. Way to go, Carlos. There were the Battletoads games that, with a few exceptions, were all about memorization and brutally difficult, and the two-player co-op was very poorly done, and they were just bad games. There are people who love Battletoads. I'm not one of them. I would much rather have a challenging game that is fair, and I never thought that Battletoads was terribly fair. However, most Nintendo games, a lot of the Nintendo hard games that we remember fondly, were actually very fair. They were very well made. They didn't usually cheap you to death. They usually showed you what you were up against, and they gave your character all the necessary abilities your character needed to conquer the stages. And Wii games aren't really about that. There are a few gems on that system, like the Mario Galaxy titles, the one WarioWare game, Kirby's Epic Yarn, and I think I just named all of them. But for the most part, the games on Wii, like the new 2D Marios, just have this shoddy, horrendous level design that, any scrub could have built if the game had a built-in level editor, and the game doesn't, even though you can clearly see the level editor tools at play. The game design in modern 2D Nintendo games, like Donkey Kong Country Returns and the new Marios, are just so piss poor. They don't... If you watch Ego Raptor's sequelitis videos, he talks about how in Mega Man it teaches you through its gameplay, and that used to happen in Nintendo games, and Nintendo Wii titles, and especially first-party Nintendo games, are much more about selling you on this gimmick. That boss, by the way, was Toadborg, who was main bad guy Complex's second in command, and for some reason is the lowly Green Planet boss in this game. Again, I don't think Konami knew what the hell Bucky O'Hare was. Anywho, So we have modern Nintendo that makes these throwaway titles that jackasses on the internet like to trumpet and praise as being great examples of gameplay while hating on the Call of Duties, which I'm not a fan of, but whatever, and the Gears of War, which are great games, and the Halo titles, which are usually great games as well. And they seem to have forgotten that great games are not about just being 2D, although I myself love 2D titles. I'm playing this old-ass game instead of going and finishing Arkham Asylum, which I really should go do, or my podcasting partner will kill me one day if I don't. Anywho, real games are about like strong gameplay, strong mechanics, strong, compelling reasons for the interactivity that these games are putting you through to be fun and compelling and enjoyable. And I don't get that out of modern Nintendo, and I don't get that out of a lot of their third-party titles on the Wii. I tend to get those in some indie games and in some XBLA and PSN and Steam titles, but I do think modern gaming is just a tad lacking. It's just not as lacking as hipster doofuses think it is, with their glasses, going into a coffee shop and never fucking leaving. I'm rambling now. Point of the matter is, fuck the Wii, fuck modern Nintendo. This is the Ice Planet, and these are snakes, and they are way less irritating than the snakes in Battletoads, but they're still kind of irritating. Touching the head kills you, every other part of the body is safe. They do tricky things, like set up difficult jumps. I'm awesome. So, oh, Jesus, right, the head touches you. Pixel perfect jump required right there. Oh, this whole stage is slippery, I'm not sure if you can tell. But, yeah, slippery stage combined with insta-kill hazards. Fun stuff. And the kind of thing that modern Capcom is too afraid to put in their modern Mega Man games. Yet when they do it, like in Mega Man 9, it's more annoying than fun. I wasn't a big fan of Mega Man 9. I thought its difficulty was a lot more like Battletoads' difficulty, especially when you get to the Wily levels, and they demand precision usage of your special weapons to advance. Once I hit the Wily stages, all the fun got sucked out of that game for me. That's why I like Mega Man 10 quite a bit more. And Mega Man 10 was a little more forgiving in a way that I don't find fun, but its hard mode was a lot less forgiving in a way I also don't find fun. Challenge is this tough thing, and I know it's all subjective. I thought this game hit a good challenge sweet spot. I think there are a lot of old 2D games that did the same. I don't even know what I'm talking about anymore. So this iceberg gradually gets smaller, and all you really have to do is survive until it's at its smallest and then start scrolling right. There's not much more to say about the Blue Planet. What else can I talk about? There was never a sequel to this game, which is too bad. It was a great game. There were some good licensed games on the NES. Capcom's DuckTales and Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers come to mind immediately. And Sunsoft's NES Batman, great title that everyone should play. If you haven't, you should. Batman used the select button to pause, and really Blinky, you can't Jesus Christ, Blinky. The NES Batman used the start button to switch weapons and the select button to pause. It was like the only game that did that. And honestly, every other game should have copied it, because that is the way to go. The start button was just way easier to press when you're messing with A and B on an NES control pad. And the back button really should have been the pause button in games. Really, start is just much more accessible to your thumbs. Here in this game, for instance, you have to press select to switch your crew members, and unlike Mega Man, there's no handy start button menu to switch them like you can switch your weapons with in most Mega Man games. And of course there are no L and R buttons, so you kind of have to cycle through your members. That becomes a challenge later when you want to cycle to Blinky, who has a smaller sprite than the rest and can avoid some overhead hazards that might insta-kill you. One boss in particular, when he does a certain attack, Blinky can duck it, but everyone else has to just not be in the place where that attack occurs, and you have to cycle to him pretty quick. Cycle to Blinky, I should say. The Ice Planet is more irritating than anything else. It's kind of a bummer that it's the last of the 4 planets, but the last 4 stages in this game are very well designed. They're reminiscent of the really good Wily stages in the really good Mega Man games. Mega Man 2s, Mega Man 10s. I thought 10 had wicked Wily stages. I really enjoyed them. I suppose we could compare Sigma stages, like in X5. Sigma stages were really well made, but in X4 they seemed kind of drab. It's like the designers kind of lost interest at that point. This boss is Al Negator. I remember very little about him from the cartoon, other than that he's an alligator with a name that's a pun. He freezes the ice, and if you look at the spikes on the roof and the ice on the ground, you very quickly start to see what the gimmick of the fight is. Fortunately, hitting him with Willie's laser over and over means that it becomes a war of attrition. This boss will be a lot harder on hard mode, where one hit just kills you, but since I can tank his shots all day, I just have to not jump too high when the ice starts to build up, though I suspect he's gonna die real quick anyway. So, you'll probably notice that this commentary is directionless and rambly, and this is kind of an experiment for me. This is the first time I'm uploading a playthrough to YouTube, and you know, I'm a little worried that people are going to watch and be like, this fucking loser just keeps fucking talking during a fucking playthrough. Why would he do that? But whatever. I'll see how it goes, and if the 0.72 subscribers I have give me feedback, maybe I'll adjust how I do these in the future. I do like to play these games and talk about them, and my whole goal here is hoping that in my ramblings you'll find some insight into these games and maybe play them yourself, or realize, hey, I didn't know I could do that strategy on that boss, or hey, I didn't think about that about the Wii and how it's shitty and all that. I'm gonna throw mine into a fire. And if I can get one child to throw their Wii into a fire, it will have been all worthwhile. Just gonna cry happy tears there? The cell. Here, all your crew members are kidnapped except for Bucky and Blinky. And you have to use Blinky's block destroying and Bucky's ability to aim up to get through the game's... I don't want to call it the first real challenge, because the first 4 planets were tough, but this is where the game kind of starts to really want to kick your ass. And it definitely shows, because this level's kind of trying to demoralize you. I'm kind of running to the end of the clip here, so okay, no, it's okay, we'll see this. I'm flying over this, because 2 of those blocks will fall and take you right back to the bottom of that part. And if you tag that guy with a shot, he'll start to go crazy and he does a ton of damage. And there are parts later that are maze-like, where if you go through the wrong elevator, you have to go back and repeat a section, and yeah, this level's kind of a bitch. But it has such good music, this game has such good music. And it's really a well-made level. It's a really cool starter, final level, if you will, akin to the Wily levels. Okay, getting to the end of this clip. Part 3 coming soon. Coming soon.